Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on October 7, 2023, the people of Israel experienced the greatest terror attack in their nation's history. 1,200 people were killed and 250 more were abducted in what was the most severe attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Nearly 100 hostages remain in Gaza, with at least a third of those believed to be dead. I was horrified by the atrocities committed by Hamas on October 7th, but I am encouraged by the reports that indicate that Israel and Hamas are closer than ever to reaching a ceasefire agreement that would return all remaining hostages held in Gaza to their families. Still, the reality of the matter is whether a ceasefire is reached and whether that ceasefire lasts, we must act now. I firmly believe in Israel's right to defend itself. It has been a critical ally in the region and has earned our support as it defends against threats from Iran and its proxies, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas in Gaza. Still, the manner in which Israel defends itself matters. After 15 months of war, I believe Prime Minister Netanyahu has overseen a military campaign that has had catastrophic consequences not only for the people of Gaza, but for his own people as well. As Israel's strongest ally, we have a responsibility to ensure that the legitimate anger felt by its citizens and the rest of the world after October 7th does not spiral into endless violence. What began as a war of defense has now devolved into a war of retribution and widespread destruction. Over 47,000 Palestinians have been killed since the war began, though a recent study published by The Lancet estimates the death toll could be as high as 40% higher. The majority of those killed are women and children. 90% of Gaza's population is internally displaced, and the threat of widespread famine has lingered for months. At least 6 newborns have recently died of hypothermia. The number of children killed in Gaza during the war exceeds the total number of children killed in conflicts worldwide over the last 4 years. And thousands of children, like Malik al-Kafarna, are grappling with life-threatening injuries as a direct result of the war. On October 24, 2023, Malik was waiting for food coupons at a market in a refugee camp when an airstrike hit and blew off his arm. It bears repeating that Hamas is an evil terrorist organization that cynically exploits civilians and has little to no regard for life, even the lives of other Palestinians. But research shows that terrorist organizations have rarely been dismantled purely through military force. Precisely because Hamas is such a threat, we must approach defeating them with a rational, evidence-based approach. Research by RAND shows that terrorist groups end through targeted intelligence operations or through a negotiated political settlement. In fact, I fear the war in Gaza will act as a recruitment tool for Hamas and will create a new generation of fighters who will seek revenge. After over a year of fighting, Hamas is weakened but has not been eliminated, nor have the remaining Israeli hostages been released. The last hostages that were released were in November of 2023, and they gained their freedom through diplomatic negotiations. What is urgently needed to bring an end to this brutal war is a diplomatic solution. Both the Israeli government and Hamas must agree to end the fighting, release the hostages, and flood the Gaza Strip with desperately needed food and medical supplies. It is in Israel's security interest to have a stable neighbor in a Palestinian state. Civil society has broken down completely in Gaza, and the territory urgently needs a peacekeeping force to help restore order. This force, ideally composed of Arab states, will play a critical role now and in post-war Gaza. Hamas cannot remain in power, and the people of Gaza deserve new political leadership that will prioritize peace as they establish a new government. Ideally, that government will be a reformed Palestinian authority empowered to both govern in the West Bank and Gaza. The ultimate goal for all parties must be a lasting peace, and that can only be reached through a two-state solution. We have the opportunity to change the trajectory of lives like Malik. In 10 years, he'll be 24. The choices we make in the coming weeks and months can either leave him desperate and hopeless, a prime candidate for recruitment for Hamas, or we can give him and the more than 1 million children living in Gaza the opportunity to grow up in a world that has prioritized peace and security. We must work towards ending this war and building a positive future for both Palestinians and Israelis. Thank you, and I yield back.